Your guitar practice right now is like you're going to the gym only doing bicep curls. You know what's gonna happen? You're gonna get really strong biceps, but you're not going to become a complete athlete. See, most guitarists are practicing their scales and their licks in isolation, right? They're not practicing things in context. Yet you watching my channel right now have a deeply vested interest in understanding improvisational freedom, right? But you're probably practicing scales out of context, or maybe you're practicing licks that you got from a lick library out of context. But if you want improvisational freedom, you need to rethink your entire practice framework here. That's why I'm gonna show you 5 mistakes you're making in your practice right now that is turning you into that one-dimensional bicep guitarist, as opposed to that complete creative master that you're already destined to become. No surprise, mistake number 1 is you're practicing your scales in isolation. We gotta break this whole thing apart. There's no scales that you need to be practicing right now, for real. If you are watching my channel, I'm gonna take a wild guess and say you've practiced your scales enough. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna tell you right now, stop even thinking about scales. Because if you do, you're gonna keep trying to force scales into places where they just don't belong. So what we're gonna do instead is we're gonna use practice form 1 as the context for our musical practice in this demonstration, which you can just do exactly what I'm about to show you, and you'll get 10 times better in 3 practice sessions. So let's listen to practice form 1, right? Just the bass. See what I'm doing? I just repeated it twice, right? I'm just playing the bass because we're gonna keep this really simple, right? Yeah, it's a D flat major 7, a C7, and F minor. Let's just think in triads. That's all we're gonna do, because the goal here is going to be to outline the chord progression. That is the main focus of this exercise. So how can we do that in the most direct way possible? We can just play pure triads on it. You'll see exactly what I mean, right? No scales, only triads. Yes, in case you're wondering, that was 100% pure triads. I did not make one mistake of playing a non-triad note. And why would it be a mistake? Well, because I made the parameter triads. I said before I was gonna do that I was only gonna play triads. So I only played triads. You gotta follow the rules that you set for yourself. And one of the rules you set for yourself is to become a masterful guitarist, okay? So listen up to what I'm gonna tell you here. Your second mistake is that you've been memorizing licks, just like you're memorizing scales, and not even understanding the implications of each individual note that you're playing, okay? That's why triads, dude, there's only 3. Right? You can understand the power of each of those notes. You can comprehend that, right? Most people are up here caught in scale land. They don't even understand what any of these notes mean, and they're just like, think about it this way. Scales were designed for violin people to warm up in the orchestra old days. I heard that somewhere. Google it, see if I'm wrong. Fact check me in the comments. But yeah, I'm pretty sure the whole concept of scales was just so people could like warm up for a concert. I think that's a really important thing for you to keep in mind here. But what I also want to say is that if you want to be a creative musician, like the people watching my channel, the people that I'm speaking to, the people that I work with, you want to be a creative musician, just freaking throw out the idea of scales altogether. You've already played enough. You've already learned that. That's already ingrained. If anything, you got some unlearning to do with that category, but the whole point is you can just forget about it. Forget about freaking scales. Switch your entire scale concept right over to chord changes, so that you'll stop making that second crucial mistake, which is that you're memorizing licks without thinking of the harmonic implication of each individual note. Keep it simple. Keep it on those triads. Now, just for fun, I'm gonna blow your mind wicked sky high open here, and I'm gonna do the concept where I play triad plus 1. Okay? Triad plus 1. So I'm playing a triad, and then one additional note on top of that triad. For all three of these chords we have, I'm going to use the same note. It's the second degree. Now on the D flat, it's a natural second degree. On the C, it's a flat second degree. On the F, it's a natural second degree. Look how much dimension that's going to bring. Look how much flavor that's going to bring here. That's with one extra note beyond the triad. That's with one I didn't play scales. I didn't play a single scale. I just played a 4-note structure that I call a triad plus 1, and I made the parameter before I started playing that I was going to play the second degree of each of those chords. That's what I did. All right, you guys who are really paying attention, you did see I played the flat 13 on the C7. Are you paying attention? I need to see those comments. I need to see those in the comments. I need you guys to start making a lot of comments. I'm gonna start dog whistling like crazy. I got a whirlwind of videos that I'm going to unleash on you people. So you better start making those comments so I know who I'm talking to here. Which brings me to the third mistake. You're using backing tracks all the time. Now, that's not to say there's not a time and a place for backing tracks, but if you are defaulting to backing tracks at any point in your practice, if you're playing with backing tracks more than like 1 or 2 days a week, you got a problem. You should only be doing that like 1 or 2 days a week tops. And that's because the truth that you don't want to accept is those backing tracks are training wheels, and when you take them away, you sound like garbage. But if you're watching this channel, you want to become a master, so you better get used to taking musical responsibility, right? For the groove and for the harmony, the harmonic rhythm, right? The integrated groove harmony concept. That is the #1 focus point of this channel and Systems for Creation and Gas Station Mentality. I am teaching you guys how to use harmonic rhythm as the basis for your musical language, dude. That is literally how you transcend licks and repetition and being stuck. You're acting like you're responsible for the entire, it's all been sequenced and done before. Here's where you get to throw your creative spin on it. In the rhythmic side, that's where you have all the creative leverage, not on the harmonic side. You see the classic mistake that 96.3% of guitarists fall into. And like I said, that's why people barely know about my channel. It's only the top 3.6 guitarists that watch my channel. And I'm probably only reaching a fraction of them. And you can really understand that by thinking about how many people play with backing tracks. Pretty much everyone. Why? Because they sound like trash without them. Now you can judge for yourself. Do I sound like trash without the backing tracks? If yes, say so in the comments. I'll never forget, this is exactly when Andrew Benavides said that this shit that I'm describing to you right now is infuriatingly simple. If you can accept the infuriation that you're gonna have when you accept what I'm telling you, if you can just stomach that cosmic frustration you're gonna feel for all the people who robbed you of your time, showing you all the wrong stuff, all the scales you wasted time learning, if you can accept that, you're going to experience musical enlightenment. Which takes us right to mistake #4, which is that you're chasing speed instead of just trusting the notes, right? Like, why are you thinking about speed when you should just be thinking about what note is just gonna smack the cosmic universe? And what you're gonna start to understand when you focus on note choice over speed is a little goes a long way. You have to start to think of yourself kind of like, honestly, like David Gilmour comes to mind. That guy understood how to do a lot with a little, and he understood that when you play electric guitar and you have all those amps and all that technology, you barely have to do anything, you know. Let the machinery work itself out. And that's kind of full circling right back to the triad parameter, which is so useful, right? If you already understand that you barely need anything beyond triads in order to accurately play through a harmonic progression, then what's the point of focusing on anything beyond the triads if you haven't even just mastered the simple art of triadic voice leading that I'm demonstrating here, like on practice form 1. Just basic triadic voice leading being the guiding principle of your practice until you master it. And the fact is, you will master it because it's finite, right? That's the whole idea with the 12-tone systems. There's a finite amount of combinations. You can actually Isaac Newton the whole thing, write everything down if you want. It's not that many things. I talked about it before. The 6 triad configurations is not that many things. Isaac Newton would have thought this is like baby stuff, but the reason you're overcomplicating is because you're not even focusing on the basic bare bones triadic voice leading. That is the guiding principle of all musical creation, period, across the board. You're going into scales. Remember, scales is just something they told the violin guys to play when they were warming up for the concert. The whole concept of it is not very musical in principle. And this whole thing just corroborates step number 3, which is don't use a backing track, right? If you don't have a backing track, you're gonna pay way more attention to your note choice because you want each individual note choice to unequivocally resonate with the harmonic rhythm, right? That's why if I only play triads, I have more than enough to unequivocally resonate with the harmonic rhythm. Wow, I might have to leave that in. I might have to leave all of this in because I made many mistakes, but it actually reveals the purpose of the practice. See, what I just played in the end there, you saw that I was venturing into 5-note structures. I was venturing way beyond the triads, right? I played a pentatonic lick at one point, but you could see the potency of the language of just playing a simple pentatonic when before I was just playing a triad, right? I just laid out those triads for like however many passes through that form. And then when I finally played that pentatonic, dude, it literally was so nasty that's why I'm talking and leaving this in the video. That was like a good example of how great improvisation works. It's like, it should always kind of feel like inevitable when you hit that moment of increased harmonic saturation, right? Increased harmonic saturation being like, if triad is like basically no harmonic saturation, then triad plus 1 is like more harmonic saturation, triad plus 2, even more. So when you got 5-note structures, you got triad plus 2 harmonic saturation, you're pretty saturated, right? It's pretty like, but if you know where to drop that saturated moment, it's like what I just did right there. I think that was some sick cosmic lineage that just came out of that focus of, okay, I'm gonna really keep this form because I wanna demonstrate on camera the power of me just focusing on triads and the note choice with respect to the harmonic rhythm. And those flashes of insight hit you in the moment where you're like, if I let this thing open up here, they're gonna see the power of not using triads when you just laid out the triadic precedent crystal clear. Which brings us straight to mistake number 5, which is that you don't have a systematic framework for musical development, which is also musical creation. You need a systematic framework for musical development and creation. Just like I demonstrated there, what was that systematic framework? It was this. It was this little form here. That was the framework, right? I'm just using that harmonic rhythm to guide every choice that I'm making on the guitar. Now, where the systematic part shows up is that I'm only using the triads, for example, and I'm only using triadic voice leading. So if I think of the framework as practice form 1, how do I generate material that's gonna fill out practice form 1? And then I think triads, voice leading, done. I tell my students to work on this for up to 2 to 3 weeks when they start working with me. If you work on your own, it'll probably take you like 6 months to get to the point where I just showed you. But if you come and immerse yourself in my school, you'll get there in probably 2 to 3 weeks, understanding exactly what I just showed you, blowing up your whole concept. Start lighting your scale mentality on fire, never to speak of it ever again. But you see what it boils down to is just understanding what practice actually is. It's all about mental focus points, being able to identify what those mental focus points. So those are the 5 reasons your practice is destroying your improvisational potential. You're making probably all 5 of these mistakes if I'm guessing correctly here. So I just want you to remember what I said at the beginning. You gotta throw out the scales. I'm telling you, once and for all, you've worked on scales enough. Okay, I give you permission to stop working on scales. Here's what I'll tell you about myself. The moment I stopped working on scales was the exact moment that I hit the infinite creativity glitch. And just to give you a little bit more depth on that, it happened through learning the music of John Coltrane. That's actually what really blew it open for me, because this is the key takeaway, huge key takeaway. This is what will save you, 13 years of your life. This thing that I'm gonna say. You don't need to learn the Coltrane tunes. You need to learn the triads. The Coltrane tunes taught me the power of triads, because you can't play those tunes without triadic voice leading mastery. Otherwise, you sound like a hack, right? But when you master the triadic voice leading in any context, not just the Coltrane context, you have that skill that can be projected on any harmonic rhythm that you're ever gonna use, right? So I had to spend 13 years cracking the code on Coltrane changes to learn that all I needed to understand was triadic voice leading. And you can start at V0, right? The lowest level on the scale, right? Remember the scale, the V scale? You want to start at V0, practice form 1, and you just want to master triadic voice leading right there. And that's why I made a free course. I have a free course. It's going to be the first link in the description that's going to lay this whole thing out for you. It's so insane that it's free. It's probably one of the best freaking resources you'll actually ever find. Just speaking from how many people have worked through fretboard mastery, come through my lessons, and have a comprehensive transformation that opens up their creative awareness to see limitless potential. So that's gonna start with the first link in the description. Completely free course, and I'll send you extra free bonus material because I've been doing that because people are cool and I'm seeing how powerful this stuff is. And to be completely transparent, it's really cool when somebody takes my Intro to Fretboard Mastery course for free and then takes advantage of some of the free stuff that I give on top of that and actually works on those things that I give them in there. And then they come into my program or take my last lesson you ever need, and it's just like blast off. It's like that was all you needed. You want to understand triadic voice leading is rule number 1, and then you got to create a practice environment that allows you to master the art of triadic voice leading. That's what we've got here. Start with that first link in the description, Intro to Fretboard Mastery, the free course. Now, if you want to see that whirlwind of content I'm about to drop on you, like I mentioned earlier, you're definitely going to want to hit subscribe and like this video, not just because I told you to, because you know it's literally the right thing to do. Because this video alone radically shifted your consciousness. So get the free course if you haven't already. I know a lot of you probably already have gotten the free course, but the rest of you, get that free course, spend 2 to 3 practice sessions maximum working on what I show in that 30-minute video. Get back to me, tell me you did that, I'll send you some more free stuff, and we'll take it from there.